Hi, Tracy Nutton here with another card. Today I'm going to be making this lovely card using a range of Sweet Poppy Stencils products. I'm going to begin the card with the lovely striped backplate. Forgive me now, I have a bit of a cold and I'm still struggling quite a lot, but hopefully this will go well today. So this is the lovely striped backplate from Sweet Poppy Stencils. I love this stencil, it's one of my favourites. The main focal point on the card that you can see here is a lovely stamp called Cherry Blossom stamp. So that's the one I'm going to use today. And I've also got the sentiment birthday from the Beautiful Day stamp set. And I also have a Have from my stash. I'm going to use 3 Distress inks today: Salty Ocean, Squeezed Lemonade and Picked Raspberry. I'm going to use some acrylic paint. So something different that I've not really done. I try to mix it up to give you guys some variety and just show you what you can do with products. So I've got a white and 2 pinks. I've got some brushes for my ink. I've got a small, very tiny paintbrush, a couple of Faber-Castell green shaded pencils. I've got a Jelly Roll number 5, and I've got an Archival and a VersaFine ink pad. I've got Jet Black and Nocturne. So let's get going. So I'll begin my card as always with a 14 by 14 piece of white stock 300 GSM super smooth white cardstock. Sorry, forgot what I was doing then. So first of all, magnetic sheet, pop that down. I've turned it so that it is landscape as opposed to portrait because of the way that I'm going to place the stencil. I don't want the stencil to get bent or buckled, so I'm going to place it down towards the bottom corner here and just making sure that it is straight. Then using some beautiful Sweet Poppy Stencils low tack tape, just going to secure the top edge here. Let's move that up a little bit. Down this side, and I'm going to cut some of the bottom off. The idea is that I would like to create sort of a triangle within the top left hand corner. So I'm going to start with my Squeezed Lemonade, the lightest colour I tend to start with, and you'll see why as we go on. So on with some ink, dabbing lots of it off because you can build up the colour but you can't take it away. So I'm going to start up here with some yellow, thinking that we'll have some yellow in here. Towards the bottom corner, maybe a little bit up there. So on the camera you might not see lots and lots of colour, but the idea is to keep the background quite subtle so it actually stays in the background. And again, I noticed that sometimes when you do your backgrounds and you come back a few days later, it seems to be a different colour. So what you see today probably won't be the end product anyway. So I'm going to put some pink up here. So second colour, some pink over here. And thinking about my triangle shape, I'll probably put a little bit of pink here. Taking the colour out ever so slightly, then finally in with the blue. All I'm doing at the moment is just deciding where I'd like my colour, and then I can go back in and blend next. So I've got some space here, and there's a little bit of space there, and some here. Now these are more or less the primary colours, so when they mix you should end up with quite a rainbow effect. So that's my inking done. Let's take this off and see what we have. So the background is quite quick. It's the next part that's going to take the time. Lifting, twisting, just try not to bend your stencil. So if you can see, quite a gentle background. And then we're going to go in with our stamping. So stamp press, definite must for this. You must use your stamp press, and you'll see why in a second. We're going to be painting today, so in order to paint I then have to re-stamp again. So bringing in my stamp, bringing it over sort of to the side, because some of this stamp might very well hang off the edge. So let's have a look. Securing it down for now, just roughly. So I think on the original I just had the stamp going over the top. I had all of it on there, so right to the edge, taking that up there, and then I used the small one as well, and then I just had that gently coming down. So I'm going to take that down, bring it back up, and then I can see where I need to secure this. So I'm having a little look. So I need a magnet in there and a magnet on the edge. I think that will be good enough. The original image doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be spot on, and you'll see why in a second. Because I'm going to be using acrylic paint, I'm going to use the archival jet black for this. So yes, it will stain the stamp, but I'm not precious about my stamps being stained. So it doesn't have to be a perfect image, because we are actually going to paint over most of this anyway and then re-stamp again. So as long as you can see where everything goes and everything needs to be, then it should be perfectly fine as it is. Gently lifting. Oh no, don't want it to move. I think we're good. I think we're good. Might just bring that on a little bit. Okay, just hopefully that should be in the right place. We'll find out in a minute. So a little bit of white paint on here. Don't need a lot. Little goes a long way. I'm going to take a little bit of pink. Again, I'm not taking it off of here. It stays on here for the whole of this until it's finished. And then some darker pink. I've got some water right next to me. So, and just going to move the stamp pad out of the way, because I will put my arm in it. So with this technique, I'm thinking light around the edges, darker in the middle. So I'm going to just go straight in, painting over everything. And I'll start with one flower and then move around to the others. Hopefully I'll try and be quick today, but you can take as long as you need on this. Okay, so when you're painting, we're almost finished now this part. When you are painting, just make sure that you go up to the edge, and if you're not sure that you're happy with how it looks blending wise, then just go back in, which is what I'm just kind of doing now, just blending my edges back in. Now what I will do before I stamp back over my image is I will just heat this ever so carefully with my heat gun, purely because I want to make sure it's definitely dry before I put my ink over the top, and I don't want to get any acrylic paint on my stamp, obviously. So I'm just blending again around the last part, just making sure that I'm happy with how it looks. So I think that's okay. Now I'm just going to pop that in the water, give it a wipe. The stem of the plant, I've just used a couple of green pencils from polychromos pencils. Just looking on here, looking for numbers. I got a 173 and a 168. So just making sure that they're quite sharp, only purely because the stems are quite small. So just, and I can do all of that before I restamp, so it doesn't matter, and it still gives the acrylic paint just a chance to dry. So you can do your leaves and everything while you're here. Going in with 2 different colours just to give it a bit of variation. Keeping the lighter colour for the leaves and for the stems as they go further up. So this bit's quite quick. I do like this technique only because it almost makes it look as though your flowers are stuck on after, because of the way that the acrylic paint makes them lift off. When I stamped earlier, I stamped slightly over so there's no edge on that stamp, so I'm just going to use a micron pen just to touch that back in. So again, here we go, just a quick blast. You can see it is almost dry, but it's only because I just want to make sure. You don't want to heat it too long because you don't want to buckle the card because you are re-stamping. So literally as quick as that. So again, with your archival ink, just going to go over your stamped images. Just going to move these in ever so slightly so that they are really secure. And down with your stamp press, hoping that it didn't move from before. Oh no, it's good, it's good. I'll lift it up for a second so that you can see. Just got one more area of flower to quickly do. So in principle, the idea is quite quick. The bit that takes you the length of time is, I like that, is the actual painting part. Now I've got the middle part of that flower there isn't as dark as the rest of it, but that's okay because I'll just grab a micron pen and just add that in. So let's move this off. And I'm also going to add some white in the centres anyway. So just going to move this right the way over to the edge. Again, securing all of this down this time, because all I'm using is this part of the stamp just to go in here. Well, I'm hoping it'll fit. Let's have a look and see. Just going to give my stamp over here a wipe. It might squeak, I apologise. I've got a stamp cloth. Just going to give it a bit of a dab down. my cloth and remove it. So let's remove this bit out of the way because I don't need that bit anymore. And let's see if I left enough space. Let's have a little look. Might only have left space for one tiny bit. Although I think I'm going to be brave. I think I'm going for it. So down then up. So this time I'll take this off so that I can show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ink this part, and then I'm going to put a piece of low tack tape over this part just in case there's any residue ink on here, even though I have wiped it. But I don't want to risk all of the hard work, so just using the edge of my acrylic, well, my stamp block, stamp pad should I say. Okay, then the tiniest bit of tape across the bit that I don't want on my work, then down. I can see that I've got a magnet in the way. So again, remember, this doesn't have to be a solid image because we're painting over it. So let's see what we've got. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, so again, back in with your paintbrush, she says, if she could find it. There it is, it's hiding. I was thinking, oh no, can't find it. So dark blending out, a bit of the middle pink into the white on the edge, and again, as I said, right the way up. Try not to go over the lines. As you go. So I'll stay with you for this one. I won't speed this part up, just so that you can see exactly what I did. So back in with the darker pink in the centre, and this time blending it out. Try not, I don't really want lots of lines, so I'll go back in with the white and then just bring that back in towards the centre, making sure that my outside edges are covered with the acrylic paint. And then the same for the other one. Now the dark one, I did these really quite dark because I thought it gave a little bit of interest to the work. So, and then just dark in here and then white for the rest of it. And if you work quite quickly, your paint will blend on your work because neither of them are dry, so you can blend the lighter in and the darker out, as you can see, blending that darker out. And if it's not dark enough, just drop a little bit more back in and blend out again. Keep the paint moving. I quite like that. So again, blast with the heat gun just to make sure it's dry. Back over with your green polychromos pencils. Again, I didn't do that edge, but that's okay. And then in with the lighter green here, trying to keep in those lines. Yep, it's dry. So back in, take the masking tape off, very important. Then stamp very carefully the same area as you did before, using the edge of the ink pad. Again, this is still the archival because you need to use the archival to go over the acrylic paint. Okay, back in with another piece of low tack tape. And down and gently push. This time we're building that colour up to make sure it matches the rest of the artwork. Just one more, I think. Because I'm only going into the middles of the actual flowers. I didn't need to take the masking tape off this time. Gentle presses, and away we go. So we can take this off of here for a second and then move it over. So now what we're going to stamp on here is our sentiment. So let's take this stamp off, put it over there so it doesn't get on my work, and then thinking about where I'm going to put my sentiment is where I was thinking about putting my magnetic my magnets. So let's have a look. So I can always move my magnets. Thinking here, which is quite good because you can use the background to actually work out whether it's straight or not. So it's quite nice. And then I'm thinking the happy down there. Let's have a quick look. So let me turn this so it's straight. It's a bit better. Have a great birthday. Let's have a look and see what that looks like. Okay, down and then up. Take it off as I always do to see if it's straight. Straighten it as you need. The good thing about the birthday is it's higgledy-piggledy, which I like a lot as well. So in this time, because I'm not going over anything, I'm going to go in with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Just going to make sure that my magnets are going to secure, because I don't want to get it wrong now, work so hard. And then we've just got a bit of tidying up to do, and then this card is finished. I hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody is having a good day. Kind of like doing these videos, making sure that give everybody the best possible opportunities to get the best out of your crafting stuff. So if you've never tried painting with stamps before, give it a go. I'd love to see what you do. Let's just once more make sure it's nice and dark. I should have kept my sentiments slightly together, but it's okay. I'm just going to remove this paint off the side because I will put my card in it now. So all there is left to do is just some white spots in the centre of your flowers. Let's have a little look and see. Yep. So move my magnets out of the way. Move that off. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, let's have a little look. So if I bring it up close for you to have a look, you can see it looks quite 3D, and the acrylic paint actually makes it, it's got a bit of a shine. It's not shiny, but it's got a shine to it, which makes it actually look like it's stuck on over the top. So jelly roll just in the centres, just to lift it a little bit, just to add a little bit more interest. And I will do again the same with the black. So this one here didn't stamp as much as the others, so just go in. And just touch that back up to make it match the rest. Okay, and then we go back in the white. And then into each of those centre stamens. This little bit does take a bit of time, but I definitely think it makes a big difference. And I have to say, I was looking in the garden today and my plum blossom is already out. So Definitely feel like spring is on its way. See, this was quite dark. Now just dotting ever so slightly. Look how much that lifts that. Then putting back in the white here. Just makes that difference. Last couple. So I've already started mounting the layers, matte and layering, as I know so many of you already know how to matte and layer. There we go. So last couple of little bits. Now while you've got the pen in your hand, you could go back in and just make sure that your tips are as white as you'd like. If there's any areas that you don't like or is not as light as you like, you can go in and do that now. If there's any areas you think, oh no, that's quite dark, let's just put some light in there. Last one, but I quite like that. Nearly missed one. And that is finished, she says, as she's put her dark fingers all over this. Let's have a look and see if we can tidy this up. That's because I didn't heat it. It's all right. I reckon it'll rub off. There we go. There's always one mucky crafter. I think I've managed to save that. I don't quite know how, but I think I did. Got one tiny little mark here. See, I did say in my last video, not always perfect. Do have dodgy days myself. But again, knowing this is the Mono sand eraser, Tombow Mono sand eraser is brilliant for getting you out of sticky situations like I just got myself into. Typical, I didn't even think about the sentiment at the bottom. There we go. Okay, so bringing my card base in now. It's a 7.5 by 7.5 card base, and I've matte and layered that with black and white signature. That's what I always do. So the outer layer is 18.5 centimeters by 18.5, and then we come into 18 by 18. The black layer that I'm going to matte and layer it onto is 14.5 by 14.5, and this is 14 by 14. So I'm just going to just heat this with the heat gun. Otherwise it will go everywhere. There we go. Let's set that. There we go. And I think I will use my double-sided tape today. So let's quickly do this for you. I have to say, I love it when I see other people have a go. You could do this with any stamp. It doesn't have to be this one. There's lots and lots of stamps that Sweet Poppy Stencil have at the minute that this would work just as well with. I've done it with quite a lot. I love what everybody does with the colouring and the pencils and the inks. But I just thought, I've got lots and lots and lots of acrylic paints in my stash. How can I use them up? And this was one way that I thought would work really well. And it's quite nice because it's just something different. Takes you out of your comfort zone a bit. So I just thought I'd give it a try. And I quite like it. And I think it makes quite a nice birthday card. As I say, the shimmer on the acrylic paint makes it look like it stands up and that it's 3D. So adds a bit of interest. Just going to pop this over to one side. There we go. And then I will just trim off the extra, because I don't like a too thicker base on that. So let's have a look. Take a little bit, just a slither. I think this one's fine, but let's go for it. Just a little slither. There we go. I think that'll do. And then just go straight onto the card base. think I'm going to do that with glue, just to make sure it's secured. So I was just looking to see which way my card was going to open then. After the way today's gone, it probably would have ended up upside down and around the wrong way. So I just thought I'd double check. Pop that over there. Nearly. There we go. And straight into the centre. And the only reason why I use glue for that is just so that I can just make sure that it's got a bit of a wiggle. So, as you can see, that's the one that I made before. And here is the one that I've just finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to have a go and use some acrylic paints with your stamps and see what kind of effects that you get, and hopefully I get to see what you've done with yours. So anyway, it's bye for now. Take care. Speak to you soon.